Me, man, here. Y'all know how I get down. We talking boxing. Yeah, I know I'm a little late to the party here, ladies and gentlemen, but I would like to take a second, given that we are now 3 days away from the big fight between George Groves, 23 and 3, 18 knockouts, and Martin Murray, 32 and 3, one draw, 15 knockouts. This fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a very impactful fight. This fight can determine whether a man ends his boxing career or not. Because both of these guys have had numerous chances to become world champions, and neither one has been able to get over the hump. I got respect for both of these dudes, man. I like George Groves. I like Martin Murray, man. But it's kind of hard to hear a 28-year-old fighter ponder retirement. You know, After the second loss to Carl Froch from George Groves, which was his second shot at a world title, George Groves was down in the dumps, man. He was down in the dumps, and some say he was pondering retirement then. Then he gets back on his horse, he get a tune up, and he gets back on his horse, and he gets into another title fight with Badu Jack, and he loses that too. This makes George Groves 0 and 3 in championship fights. And it got to do something to that kid. Martin Murray, the same thing. He ain't won one either, and he's had 4 chances at it. But at least you can say with Martin Murray, he at least had title fights. And he just lost the other 3. He lost to my guy Sergio Martinez. He lost to Triple G. He lost to Arthur Abrams. And this was at another division. He went up to super middleweight, which is 168, to face Arthur Abrams, and he lost that fight. And, of course, he had a draw with the current champion, Felix Sturm. And it's crazy because these two are now fighting in a WBA eliminator match going down in the O2 Arena this coming weekend on June 25th. It's going to be on the undercard of Joshua and Brazil, man. And the implications for this fight, man, is humongous. I mean, humongous. But, the thing is that I'm looking at with George Groves, though, man, it's like the ghost of Carl Froch really haunts George Groves. It's easy for us as fans to sit back, criticize, talk out shit, do whatever. Uploaders, whatever, man. But these things have serious impacts on a lot of these fighters. Clearly, George Groves have been paying close attention to social media. Clearly, George Groves has been allowing his critics to get under his skin. When I look at the facial expression of George Groves, when Martin Murray says when George Groves was sparring with Triple G, he quit and he's a quitter. And then when I look at the facial expressions of George Groves, I say to myself, that's not the same guy that I recall sitting down with Carl Froch in that face-off. What's the name of that show? The Gloves Are Off, or whatever the name of that show is. That's not the same guy. That ain't the same mind-playing, get up under your skin little snot George Groves. That's not it. Though some of you fans are still a little agitated by George Groves because sometimes he does show little smirks here and there. This is not the same fighter. This fighter is much more humble. He realizes that his career's on the line, and most importantly, he's haunted, man. He's haunted like shit. I've listened to that face-off between him and Murray, and what I got from it, ladies and gentlemen, is that Carl Froch sits on the mind of George Groves. That was George Groves' moment to shine, and it haunts him. He can't get past it. Clearly, you can see his people arranged him to try to get his confidence back by giving him 2 soft touches in Andrea DeLuca. I missed that fight, but I did see the David Brophy fight, and he fought a good fight. But those were soft touches. Clearly to get Groves back on his high horse, if you will. He's dropped his former trainer. He now has a new trainer. You know what I'm saying? What's the guy's name? Shane McGugan. He has a new trainer he feels a lot comfortable with. Maybe this is the tune-up he needs. The man can't seem to stay focused on which reason that he lost to Carl Froch. He says it's his corner 1 second, the next second he feels as though he was boxing very well. He was actually winning the fight, and the first one was controversial, so the ref stopped it. The second one, he just got hit with a good shot. George Groves, to me, earlier in his career, especially it peaked when he fought Carl Froch, had stamina issues, in my opinion. The way he fights, the way he moves, he exerts a lot of energy. And in Carl Froch's case, he's a type of fighter who gets stronger as the fight progresses. He takes his time. He waits to pick his shots. And that's what eliminated George Groves from Carl Froch. When he got in there with Badu Jack, he just basically got outboxed. However, George Groves came across the pond. He was in a new atmosphere, a new environment. He was fighting in America in front of a big crowd, you know what I'm saying, for a world title. Kind of looked like a fish out of water, if you will. But he did give Badu Jack a tough fight. And Martin Murray, in all of his title fights, I thought they were tough fights, with the exception of the Gennady Golovkin fight. But however, he did take Gennady Golovkin into the championship rounds, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know what that says about Martin Murray, but both fighters, man, I have tremendous respect for, because every time they get in the ring, they do give their all. And for George Groves, at 28, man, to be going through what he's going through, I don't know if it shows his resilience of being able to pick himself up off the counter. I mean, off the floor, off the mat, whatever. I don't know if it shows his resilience, or I don't know if it just shows he just doesn't got it. I just don't know. I just truly don't know. But he seems a lot more humble. He seems very flustered. He can't figure out, it got to a point where Johnny Nelson, the host of the show, had to ask the man, hey, are you going to even try to get up under this man's skin? I remember you sitting across from Carl Froch saying all these things, trying to get up under the skin of Carl Froch. But we don't see that in this particular fight with George Groves. I don't know, man. I don't know. This is going to be a good fight. I'm going to keep two eyes on this fight, including my third eye on this fight. Because I'm telling y'all, man, this fight, when you got fights that make or break careers, these are big, man. These are big. And to see George Grove to be like almost a new person, those three championship fights really humbled this dude. I think people honestly need to cut him some slack this time around, man. For real. For real. Now, Martin Murray is 33 years old. So George Groves feels as though he has the youth, of course, and he feels as though he can easily outbox Martin Murray, though he does have respect. He's showing Martin Murray more respect than he showed Carl Froch. You know what I'm saying? And Martin Murray feels as though he has the experience. He's been in there with the world-class fighters. He's been fighting at the world-class level for quite some time now. And he feels as though his experience, on top of the fact he feels that George Groves will be a quitter, he feels as though he has the edge. I'm not going to sit here, and I'll be the first one to call that shit out, man. I'm not going to sit here and say George Groves was a quitter. I don't think so. I just think George Groves just got beat. He had nothing left. I think he gave a very, very valiant effort against Badu Jack, but in Carl Froch's case, he just got beat. Quitting, I can't say he quit. Now, I don't know if George Groves is doubting himself, because listening to how he talks, he's talking in a doubting way. Maybe I'm just not that good. Maybe I'm not that. Maybe I'm just not. Maybe I'm not supposed to be on a world-class level. I don't know. And that's how he's talking. I'm not expecting to see or hear the same George Groves from the Froch fights. I'm aware of what those losses possibly did to him. I'm not expecting to see that bravado guy, but not this guy. He's like he's forcing himself to try to play mind games. He's forcing himself to interact with this dude, man. I don't know, man. But the winner of this fight will possibly go on to fight the WBA champion at 168. Like I said, which is currently Felix Stern. But however, Felix Stern is now in the hot seat because he, in his last fight with Shooting-Off, he popped up dirty for a banned substance. So now they're testing his B sample the same way that what's my guy, Alexander Povetkin had to go through. They're waiting for the B samples to come back, and they're trying to see if his B samples come back, then he's basically done, and the title goes back to Shooting Off, and the winner of this fight will be fighting either Shooting Off or either Felix Sturm. I don't know, but we'll see how that goes. But I'm just saying, man, they better get it together. George Groves really better get it together. Brush the past off. Stay the fuck off social media. Stop living in the past. Look to the future. Look forward. Because Martin Murray is no slouch. Martin Murray is a crafty veteran, and he fights very well. Two rangy fighters, so this is going to be a good fight. And I will be definitely keeping my eye on this one. And if you are true fight fans, you should too. Now, I don't plan on doing a full-fledged prediction video for this fight, so I guess I'll just throw it out there right now. I'm going to bet on the youth of George Groves. I'm going to go with the youth of George Groves. I think he has the ability to outbox Martin Murray, in my opinion. It's going to be interesting, but that is my prediction. I give it to George Groves by unanimous decision. I don't think he stops Martin Murray, but I do think he goes to a unanimous decision and he outboxes Martin Murray. So, and this is going to be a good fight. Just watch it, pay attention. If you're fight fans, you guys should not miss this fight. Real talk. To the next video, Main Man Made Man. Don't forget to subscribe. Twitter, Made Man 511. Facebook, Main Man Made Man Boxing Forum. Google Plus, Main Man Made Man, man. Damn, man. I really do hate to see George Groves in this state, man. It's like a doubting, different George Groves. And maybe this victory, even though these last two victories are supposed to give him confidence and he has a new trainer in his corner, maybe this is the victory he really needs to get back to that mind state of the George Groves that we all know. And beating a guy like Martin Murray on this level would definitely feed the confidence of George Groves going into a fourth title fight if he wins. And in Martin Murray's case, going into a fifth title fight if he wins. So in both of their cases, if they beat each other, either way, it would just do wonders for their confidence going into a title fight. So let's see how this thing plays out. To the next video. Peace out.